Welcome back, guys. Slowback in here. So, big news day for Total War Warhammer 2. And the big news bomb dropped, and obviously a lot of people have already covered this, but I just want to talk about the things that I find interesting. There's a lot more like campaign detail and all that type of stuff, which I am interested in, but it's not like my main focus at the moment. So, the really awesome things that I want to talk about, the first one being, and I know a lot of people are going to be excited about this one, is the free-for-all multiplayer game mode. Oh my god, this is going to be so epic. So, there isn't any news, or I can't find any on what the actual size of the battles are going to be, as in how many different people can actually be playing at any one time. But we can assume, since we have 4v4 battles at the moment, it's going to be an 8-player free-for-all setting, right? Has to be. Because, like I say, we've already got 4v4. So, an 8-player free-for-all would make complete sense, right? Which is going to be so epically chaotic. It's going to be so fun. Oh, it's going to be crazy. Now, the really good thing about this is they've done it so well where they're not going to have it as the last man standing wins. That's not the win condition. From what we know, the win condition is going to be based on like damage dealt or kills dealt, or that type of thing, rather than the last person standing. Because you could rush in at the start and do a ton of damage and basically wipe out one or two armies, and then everybody else comes in and cleans up, but you're the one who's actually done all the damage, and you're not the last man standing. You might be the first one out of the damn thing, even though you've done the most damage. So even if you do that now, you might actually still win based on the amount of damage you managed to do in the time frame you were alive, which is so cool. It's so cool. I'm loving that they've put that in there. There is going to be custom maps for this as well, and from what we know, they're going to be smaller than the standard multiplayer maps that we have at the moment, which is going to be even more insane, because you think, like in a 4v4 battle, some of those maps now seem pretty damn small as it is. If it's 4v4, if it's 8-man free fall on a map that's smaller than the standard maps we have now for multiplayer, it's going to be absolutely crazy. It's going to be so hectic. Magic is going to be so strong in this setup, right? You can imagine the damage that you get off like Winds of Death, the Pit of Shades, that type of thing now, facing one or two different armies. Imagine that when you've got the opportunity to hit 7 different armies. That's going to be so beautiful. I can see Manfred with like 500 kills from whatever a spell is, from a Wind of Death. That's it. You can imagine just the amount of kills you're going to get from your magic and stuff. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be so epic. Absolutely chaotic, but it's going to be so much fun. Yeah, custom maps, smaller than what we've originally got. I would love to see like an arena type map. Maybe restricted to 2 or 4 players or something like that. Obviously, one staying on each side of like the oval. One staying on each side of the oval, and then just go for the middle. Everybody goes to the middle. Just chaotic stuff. I'd love to see an arena map like that. They're probably not going to do that, but it'd be so awesome if we could. And of course, with maps being moddable and stuff at the moment with custom maps, etc. It's definitely a map I think we're going to get, which is going to be so epic once we actually do get it. Now, it is for multiplayer only. It's not going to move over into the campaign side of thing at the moment. And at the moment, you can't, or from what they're saying, you can't put AI into it either, which is okay. It's fine. I'm completely fine with that, actually, because it's multiplayer stuff. It's a standalone multiplayer thing, free for all, not standalone, free for all. A multiplayer thing, which I'm completely fine with. I would really like it to see it in the campaign as well. Obviously, having multiple armies that can attack multiple different armies at the same time, which would make for some pretty epic battles on a campaign. But for now, I'm completely happy with it being multiplayer only. So cool. Can't wait for that one. The next one that I wanted to talk about is rogue armies, and I really like this idea. We kind of had a wee discussion that was really similar to this on the stream last Sunday. And then this came out, which I thought was quite interesting. It's kind of similar to what we were discussing, so we'll go into it. So the rogue armies are not rebellions. They're not triggered like rebellions, so there's no like minus 100 obedience and then you trigger a rebellion. They're not that type of thing. They just spawn, it didn't say randomly, but they spawn at a certain point, right? And they spawn quite small, and then obviously they'll grow large over time, the same way rebellion armies do in that sense. But they're going to be themed. So the example they gave was there's going to be a goblin leader with a beast-only army. And the awesome thing about these is they're not restricted to a certain faction. So for this one, for instance, they had squigs in there, obviously from the greenskin roster, which would make sense with the goblins. You're going to be able to have they're going to have lizard men dinosaurs in there as well, which is so cool. And they have other things like warhounds, etc., etc. So that one was a beast-themed army. And obviously there's going to be other themes. From what I've been able to gather, there's going to be 10 to 12 different themed armies that are going to spawn. And they can spawn in the New World, obviously, which is Total Warhammer 2, or they can spawn in the Old World, which is obviously Total Warhammer 1, which we're currently playing. I can't wait to see what they come up with. I kind of had a thought in my head, like when I heard that there's going to be themed armies. I'm like, oh man, there's going to be an all chariot scaling army. I know in a recent campaign when I was playing, there was an army with 10 chariots in it. And I was thinking, oh my god, imagine that with like a full stack of chariots. Oh, it's going to happen. It's got to happen, right? Oh, it's going to be so cool though. Absolutely love it. And the thing with this that I find really exciting is I think it's going to open the door for maybe having mercenary armies, because there's not that restriction on, race restriction on what you can actually recruit, which is going to be so cool. I think the thing we actually talked about on stream was the mercenary armies, and that was the thing, based around whatever town you settle. So if you take an empire town, for instance, you can recruit empire forces up to whatever level. So if you get a low level one, up to level 3, that type of thing. If you take a greenskin town, you can recruit greenskin units, and you can interweave those. If you take a wood elf town, you can recruit wood elf units, that type of thing. Okay, that's not what's actually coming, but this could be the step that leads to that, which would be so awesome. And of course, if they can mod it so that you can take over one of these rogue armies and there's no restrictions around what you can actually recruit outside of the set of themes, the theme. So if you take over a beast army, for instance, you can recruit beasts from all different factions. So that's a good start. But if they change it or put a mod out or something, that allows you to recruit anything, that'd be so awesome. But you're definitely heading towards the mercenary armies, which I really like. The mercenary armies are a great idea that I'd love to see implemented. I absolutely love that idea of being able to take over a settlement and now you can recruit those troops. And it makes a lot of sense, especially with if you move into areas like Bretonia and stuff. Take over a Bretonia town, you force the peasants to fight for you, right? If they don't fight, they die. It's simple as that. You fight for me now, I've got your town. We own you, boy. You're fighting for me. All right, so that's another thing that I'm really excited about. Rogue armies, that's so cool. All right, so and then now we move along to a couple of the campaign things. So in the New World, obviously, which is, Lizardmen, rat thingies, and the 2 elves, right? So there's not just going to be those factions over there. There is going to be a lot of the factions from the Old World over there as well, with their own settlements and stuff over that side of the world. So the ones that they talked about was the Vampire Coast, so that's going to be another sub-faction of the vampires. Obviously, the Vampire Count, is going to be the Vampire Coast. There's going to be Telia Conquistadors, which is so cool. It's so cool. Obviously, we can't play as Telia yet, but that kind of indicates that they're going to be a playable faction at some stage, right? And Conquistadors obviously going to be very, very cool. Very, very cool unit. There's going to be Bretonia factions over that side of the world as well. And I believe there's going to be Empire and Scaling as well over that side for the ones we've heard so far. I would think, just thinking back to my lore knowledge, I would think there's going to be orcs over there as well. I would think. Yeah, pretty sure there'll be orcs over there as well. But yeah, that's really interesting because there's going to be there's going to be sub-factions that we can play as well. They're not going to be released straight away, but I would assume, and obviously with mods, you can play them as well, but I assume a couple of these are going to be playable. I especially expect the Vampire Coast and the Astilian Conquistadors would be a playable faction at some stage. That's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Right, moving along. This next one I found real interesting because it's Lord of the Rings vibe as soon as I hear it, right? So there is now going to be a devolve mechanic. Sorry, not a devolve, a delve mechanic. That's the word I'm looking for. A delve mechanic as part of taking over new settlements. So, at the moment you've got like loot, occupy, raise. So we're going to have loot, occupy, raise, or delve. So what delve is you can stay there and hunt for treasure, right? So you can obviously dig underneath a settlement or search the sack settlement or whatever for treasures and stuff. So that's going to be things like obviously gold, things like items, items, gold, basically rewards and stuff, trying to find treasures. But if you delve too greedily and too deeply, like the dwarves once did, you will unleash some beasts. No, we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure. But there is going to be a negative consequence or a possible negative consequence for delving too deep. Whether it's going to be unleashing beasts that you have to fight, which would be so epic if that happens, or if it's just going to be like straight up damage to your units and stuff like that. From delving too deep, which would be so cool. I'm absolutely really looking forward to that. I would love it if there is a mechanic where you delve too deep and you unleash a giant monster that you have to kill. That would be so epic if that's actually what's going to happen. But I don't know if it is. But that's what I want. And like I said, Lord of the Rings 5, right? Unleash the Bower of Rock and all that type of stuff. It would be so cool. It's going to be so cool. All right, and the last thing that I was excited about. This is a really short one. The last thing that I was really excited about is all dragons are now going to have a breath attack, which completely makes sense, right? All dragons have a breath attack. They didn't specifically say what type of breath attack, so I'm assuming there's going to be multiple variants of it. So I'm assuming there's going to be, the standard fire breath, of course, dragons, fire. But I'm assuming things like the Chaos Dragons, yeah, definitely the Chaos Dragons may have a poison attack, a poison breath. I would think that would be a possibility. I'm not sure what the other ones would have, but definitely fire would definitely be one, because it's a dragon, breathes fire, makes sense. But I would assume there's going to be a poison breath as well, and I assume there's going to be other variations of it as well. Yeah, so that was a short one, right? So those were the main points that I was really excited about all the news that we got hit in the last 24 hours or whatever it was. Yeah, so that was definitely the news that I found really good, and I was really excited for. So definitely the free-for-all was the main one that I was really excited about, and then the rogue armies, which was so awesome. I just love that idea, and I love what that idea could lead to, So excited for those two things. And obviously the New World stuff, really good news that we're going to be getting other factions within that side of the world, which is awesome. Obviously the Delve mechanic, very cool mechanic as well. Looking forward to that. I'd love it. Please let me spawn monsters if I delve too deep, please. And yeah, and the dragons with their fire attacks and stuff, which is pretty awesome as well. Cool. Alright guys, so that's the news that we had released in the last 24 hours or so. Love to know what you guys are really excited about. You were really excited about the free-for-all? I'm sure most of you are. It's gonna be so fun. I can imagine the streams now, you guys all ganging up against me. But I kind of thought that, if that happens, like say if we do a multiplayer stream, right, and it is 8 players, and you all decide to attack me, but I've got some really awesome spells, so I can hit you all at the same time and just rack up that damage for my win condition. Yeah, so I don't think picking on somebody is going to be a good idea because of all splash damage and stuff, and obviously artillery and things hitting multiple clumped up units. Oh, it's going to be so hectic. It's going to be so good, guys. Free for all, something Total War Warhammer needed, I think. It's going to be amazing. Alright guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.